The universe is changing, and so must they.
Endless expanse of the universe, where even light takes centuries to travel from one edge to another, there existed a world named Zyorin. Zyorin was unlike Earth. Its skies shimmered with three colors: blue, golden, and pale green. By day, a great sun-like star bathed the land in warmth. But at night, two moons and thousands of tiny glowing particles drifted in the air. These particles looked like Earth's fireflies, but they were not living creatures. They were streams of energy rising from the planet's core and dissolving into the clouds above. The inhabitants of Zyorin, known as the Zyorins, were biologically unlike humans. Their bodies were transparent, with flowing waves of energy visible within. Instead of eyes, they had two luminous blue orbs that changed color with every movement. They did not eat or drink. Their energy came directly from the sun and the planet's magnetic currents. Zyorin society was not built upon power, wealth, or land, but upon knowledge and harmony. The greatest desire of every citizen was to discover more of the universe's secrets and share them with others. Yet, even in this ideal world, there were truths buried deep that would chill any human who learned. Day was not like an Earth. Day of 24 hours. It lasted 38 hours. When their sun rose, a soft golden glow spread across the skies, and energy particles would drift upward from the ground, scattering into the air. These particles were the Zyorin's source of nourishment and power. They absorbed them through their transparent bodies, sending a warm glow rippling through them, much like the sap flowing through a tree in spring. Zyorin cities were not built from stone or metal like on Earth. Instead, they were made from solidified energy structures. By day, these buildings shimmered gold under the sun, and by night they glowed in shades of blue. Each home could reshape itself according to its owner's needs. Zyorins had no vehicles or aircraft. They could transform themselves into waves of energy and travel from one place to another instantly. From a young age, children were taught to master energy control, and as they grew, they learned to fly through the air and shape light into forms. Their music, too, was unique. There were no instruments. Instead, they created melodies by vibrating their energy waves, producing tunes that resonated directly in the heart. This was a society without war or hatred. At least on the sacred place on Zyorin was the fortress of Leora, the heart of learning and discovery. Suspended high above the clouds, at an altitude no Earth creature could reach. Its walls were made of pure energy, constantly shifting colors with the light. Inside, hundreds of Zyorin researchers, scientists, and star-seers, readers of the stars, worked tirelessly. They stored entire galaxy maps in massive, glowing spheres of energy and observed newly discovered worlds. The Zyorins believed the universe was infinite, with every world holding its own mystery. Their mission was to understand each world's secrets and use its power for the benefit of both themselves and the greater cosmos. But one day, a young researcher named Ezor stumbled upon a world that shook Leora's fortress. This world was Earth, a blue planet with oceans, green lands, and most astonishing of all, beings spent many months observing Earth. He saw that humans, though physically different from Zyorins, shared one striking similarity and curiosity. Humans looked to the stars, asked questions, and dreamed of traveling beyond their small world. But at the same time, they fought among themselves, drained their planet's resources, and slowly poisoned their own home. To Ezor, this was a contradiction. On one side, human intelligence and creativity. On the other, selfishness and destruction. He presented Earth's case before the elders of Leora, suggesting that perhaps the time had come for Zyorins to make contact with humans. But not all agreed. Some argued that humans were not ready and that if they were given access to Zyorin knowledge, they would miss of debate. The Zyorins reached a decision. They would not make direct contact with humans, but they would secretly travel to Earth and observe. A special team was assembled, called the Travelers of Light. Ezor was chosen as a member, being the one most knowledgeable about humans. The travelers transformed their bodies into energy waves invisible to human eyes. Their first mission was to visit various locations on Earth, observing human behavior, dreams, and fears up close. But deep in Ezor's heart was another desire, to speak directly with a human who truly sought the universe's secrets. He had no idea that this wish would bring danger not only to him, but to the entire colors of light sliced through the vastness of space, entering Earth's orbit. This was no ordinary journey. They had refined their existence into such fine streams of energy that no human telescope or radar could detect them. They drifted above the clouds, scanning every continent. Ezor's energy pulse raced, though Zyorin's had no blood. A quickening of their inner light was a sign of strong emotion. Their first destination was the lush green forests of Africa, where life still thrived in its purest form. Towering trees, flowing rivers, and animals moving freely. To Ezor, it was like stepping into a dream. But as they moved toward the cities, the scene changed. Smoke, noise, and forests of steel buildings. Ezor realized that humans had severed their bond with nature, building a new world of their own. It was advanced, yes, but there was an unsettling emptiness hidden within. He wondered, were humans truly happy, or were they locked in a race that had no end? Travelers of light spent many days on Earth, though for them, time flowed differently. They could witness thousands of moments in what was just a blink for a human, for their minds worked faster than the speed of light. Ezor observed that humans laughed, cried, loved, and hated. He saw a mother sacrificing for her child, a friend standing by another in hard times, and strangers risking their lives to save someone they didn't know. These acts fascinated and moved him, but he also saw war, murder, and greed. Never before had he seen such a blend of love and hatred in one species. Zyorins felt emotions, but they were not consumed by such contradictions. Ezor concluded that humanity's greatest strength was its heart, and yet, that was also its greatest weakness. A question formed inside him. Could humans ever master their hearts? So they beat only for longing to speak directly to a human grew stronger. According to the traveler's rules, this was forbidden, but curiosity overpowered him. One night, while drifting above a large city, he saw a young girl sitting on a rooftop, gazing at the stars. In her hands was an old telescope, and she was counting constellations. Ezor reached into her thoughts and found a burning desire to understand the universe's mysteries. Her name was Araya. She came from a poor family, but her dreams were larger than the sky. Ezor decided to shape his energy into a form visible to her. At first, Araya thought he was a glowing orb, but when he approached and formed a transparent humanoid shape, she froze in awe. Ezor made no sound, but his presence filled her heart with a strange peace, as though someone had finally understood her lonely. Communication between Ezor and Araya was wordless. Zyorins had a unique ability. They could transmit thoughts directly into another mind. Ezor showed Araya visions of his home world, a sky painted in 3 colors, cities made of pure energy, and the glowing particles that served as food. Araya's eyes filled with tears as she saw it all. She wondered why, if such a world truly existed, humans could not live that way too. Ezor felt her innocence and curiosity, a small flicker of humanity's potential still alive. But he knew this meeting was dangerous. If the other travelers discovered it, Ezor would face punishment, and Araya's life could be in danger. Still, Ezor decided he would teach her as much as a human could possibly learn, hoping that one day she might change her. Spent many nights with Araya, teaching her the principles of the cosmos, the flow of energy, and the harmony that sustained life. Araya kept every word in her mind as if storing a precious treasure. But as days passed, Ezor sensed the other travelers growing suspicious. One day, their leader asked him why he often went off alone and who he was contacting. Ezor said nothing, but a faint tremor in his light betrayed him. Among Zyorins, this was a sign of lying. The leader warned that if he was found communicating with a human, it would spell disaster for the mission. Ezor now stood at a crossroads, either obey his people and leave Araya forever, or break the rules and keep giving her the message of the universe. The weight of that choice began to dim as the sun dipped below the horizon and the city lights flickered on. Ezor sensed an unusual ripple in the fabric of space. It was faint but urgent, a cosmic warning. The travelers of light had intercepted a disturbance. In the outer regions of the galaxy, an unknown force was devouring stars, leaving behind cold, lifeless voids. The energy signature was unlike anything they had encountered before. Ezor's leader summoned all travelers to discuss the threat. If this force reached Earth, It could wipe out not only humanity, but the planet's very essence. Ezor, however, couldn't help thinking of Araya. Should he tell her? Could a human even comprehend such danger? Yet a voice inside him whispered, she must know. She is the key. New time was slipping away. That night he appeared before Araya, his light dimmed with urgency. Through visions, he showed her the collapsing stars, the spreading darkness, and the chain reaction that could reach Earth in less than 2 decades. Araya's heart pounded. She had never felt so small. But Ezor didn't stop there. He began teaching her forbidden Zyorin knowledge, how to harness natural energy, how to heal life instead of destroying it, and how to awaken the dormant power hidden in every living being. These lessons were sacred among the travelers and never meant for humans. Ezor was crossing a line from which there was no return. Ezor's defiance was uncovered. One night, as he stood beside Araya, a blinding wave of energy tore through the rooftop. The leader of the travelers emerged, his light a deep, unforgiving blue, the color of judgment. Araya fell to the ground, shielding her eyes from the overwhelming glow. The leader's voice thundered inside Ezor's mind. You have betrayed your kind. For what? A fleeting creature of flesh and bone? Ezor stood his ground, his light pulsing with defiance. She is not fleeting. She is the beginning of something greater. The leader's silence was more chilling than anger. He turned away and ordered Ezor to return to the fleet immediately. But Ezor didn't make his choice in that moment. He turned to Araya and placed a fragment of his own light within her. It sank into her chest, glowing faintly before becoming invisible. This was a piece of his essence, a bond that would never break. Araya felt a surge of warmth, as though a star had ignited inside her. The leader warned that such an act was irreversible. Ezor was now bound to Earth. He would never be able to return to Zyorin, nor exist fully in his pure energy form again. Ezor accepted the punishment without hesitation. He had seen the potential of humanity in Araya, and he believed she could carry the message long after he was gone. Pillars of light left Earth that night, vanishing into the void without a trace. Ezor remained behind, invisible to all but Araya. For weeks, they continued their lessons, preparing for the day the cosmic darkness would arrive. Araya kept her secret, speaking to no one, though the weight of it sometimes brought her to tears. Ezor knew his time was limited. The energy sustaining his form was slowly fading. But he did not regret his choice. He had traded eternity for a single chance to change the fate of a world. And deep inside, he believed that choice would echo across the universe. Passed in uneasy silence. Then one night, Araya noticed the stars above her village flickering strangely, as if a veil of darkness was swallowing them one by one. Ezor confirmed her fears. The Cosmic Devourer had entered the outer edge of their galaxy. Though it was still far, the wave of destruction was moving faster than they had anticipated. Araya's training intensified. She learned to channel the Earth's magnetic fields, to draw power from the breath of wind and the flow of rivers. Yet every lesson carried an unspoken truth. Even with all her abilities, she might not be able to stop what was coming. But Ezor believed she could at least delay it long enough for others to awake. Knew she couldn't face the threat alone. Against Ezor's warnings, she sought out a small group of scientists, thinkers and spiritual leaders she trusted. In a hidden meeting under the ruins of an ancient temple, she revealed the truth. At first they thought she was mad, until Ezor revealed himself, his light illuminating the cracked stone walls. Shock turned to fear, then resolve. This small council vowed to prepare the world in secret, to advance both technology and spiritual awareness so that Earth might defend itself. But as word spread quietly, whispers of their work began to attract dangerous attention from those who saw power only as from the light of the council. A secret human organization had been watching the skies for decades. When they learned of Ezor and Araya's mission, they saw not salvation but an opportunity. If they could harness Ezor's energy, they could control nations. They began hunting for Araya, sending agents into villages, cities, and even the wild mountains where she sometimes trained. Ezor shielded her as best he could, but every time he used his power, it weakened him further. The war for Earth's future was no longer only against the Cosmic Devourer, it was also against humanity's own. Darker name when the dark wave finally reached the edge of the solar system. The skies turned an unnatural shade, and the sun itself dimmed as though in mourning. Araya and Ezor stood together on the highest peak they could find. The Devourer's presence could now be felt, a crushing silence, a hunger beyond words. Ezor knew his light alone could not repel it. But if he gave the last of his energy to Araya, she might form a shield strong enough to push it back, even if only for a while. Without hesitation, Ezor released the remainder of his essence into her. His form dissolved into pure light, spiraling into her chest. Araya screamed as the power surged through her, but she did not. Ezor's power within her. Araya stood at the edge of the mountain and raised her hands to the sky. A column of golden light burst upward, spreading across the horizon and meeting the incoming darkness head-on. For hours the clash raged, light against void, creation against oblivion. At last the darkness recoiled, retreating into the depths of space. The earth was safe and for now. But Ezor was gone, his voice only a whisper inside her heart. Araya dedicated the rest of her life to teaching others, the ways of the travelers of light. And somewhere, far beyond mortal sight, Ezor watched, knowing that as long as a single flame burned in the human spirit, the darkness could never truly win.